Welcome back, ghouls and goblins. I hope you're all having a magical day. Thank you so much for taking the time to support the channel. We are back with the top 10s. Ooh. We've done the commons, we've done the uncommons. In today's video, looking at the top 10 rares, as says this guy. Make sure to leave a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so to help support. You can also become a YouTube member. Let's take a look at the top 10, which are in no specific order. Just a bunch of cards that I like and am excited to play with in the new set. Kaya, Intangible Slayer. This one's expensive. Gonna cost you 7 mana, 3 generic, double plains, double swamp. Ooh, woo. A planeswalker, 6 starting loyalty that has hexproof. That's pretty cool. You can't single target it. You have to attack it. You have to force your opponent to sacrifice it. Each opponent loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life for Kaya's first ability, which is a +2. Next, she has a 0 ability. You draw 2 cards, then each opponent may scry 1. Drawing 2 is phenomenal. Letting them scry kind of sucks, but you know the difference between drawing 2 and scrying 1 is quite a bit. -3. Exile target creature or enchantment. If it wasn't an aura, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying in addition to its other types. This can be used on entry and its removal, so this makes Kaya very good. The fact that you can remove their thing and get a copy of it in turn makes it even better. If what you're removing has an enter the battlefield effect, a leave the battlefield effect, some form of passive ability or activated ability. You know, there's a lot of really nice ways to gain additional value with this. Really big swing in value on the board state with Kaya, Intangible Slayer. Not spending too much time, though, on each individual card. Moving on to the Argentium Masticore. Oof, pardon my pronunciation. This is an artifact creature, Phyrexia Masticore, a 5/5 with first strike, protection for multicolored, which makes it a phenomenal sideboard card, as we see decks like Joda power up and run over their opponents. Well, not anymore, Joda. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Masticore unless you discard a card. When you discard a card this way, destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the mana value of the discarded card. What? That's ridiculous. This is, reusable removal. It triggers at the beginning of your upkeep every turn. So you're drawing, you're discarding, you're removing. Yeah, this is no joke. 5 mana value. It's an artifact, which is nice as well. Kind of crazy. Moving on, the Eternal Wanderer. No more than 1 creature can attack the Eternal Wanderer each combat. Now, this is a legendary planeswalker with 5 starting loyalty. +1. Exile up to 1 target artifact or creature. Then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of that player's end step. This is a +1. 0, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with double strike. And finally, -4 for each player. Choose a creature that player controls. That'll be you choosing the creature. And then each player sacrifices all creatures they control, not chosen this way. That is usable on entry. She comes in for 5, you -4. They keep 1 creature, you dunk on the rest. This is phenomenal. You'll have a creature as well. They will need to attack into your creature. You've got a blocker. The Wanderer will survive, which is very good. So, what's better than just having a field wipe? Having a field wipe that allows you to also have a planeswalker in play after, So this is phenomenal. And then, you're bouncing things to regain value from them. Or maybe, interacting with your opponent's board state as well. It's good value within the Eternal Wanderer. I'm very excited for this card. Black Sun's Twilight, for 1 mana plus X at instant speed. Up to 1 target creature gets -X until the end of turn. If X is 5 or more, return a creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Oh my lord. So A, minus effects get around indestructible. We like it. B, you can bring back one of your creatures right to the battlefield. And C, did I mention this is at instant speed? Wow, so that's really cool. Now we have minor misstep printed, and now there may be some confusion, so I'd like to iron that out right away. The mana value of this card when in your hand is 1 as X equals 0. However, when it goes on the stack, the mana value of the card will change to whatever your opponent has chosen for X, whether that's remains at 1, they use 0, which would be weird. But it could be mana value 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it goes up further, right? So, there is a distinction between the mana value of a card as to when it's in your hand with the X casting cost, as well as when it's on the stack, and they're most likely going to be different. Moving on, the Vran Executioner Thane, one of my favorite cards of the set, I think is going to be overlooked a little bit. Legendary creature, Phyrexian Vampire, 2 power, 2 toughness. Whenever one or more other creatures you control die, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. This ability triggers only once each turn. Once on your turn, once on your opponent's turn, and it's a 2/2. So you've got removal. You're removing your opponent's creatures, opening up the attack lane each turn, hopefully, and you're attacking. It's just really, really easy way to get the damage through. My heart goes to Radibrig, Yeah, hell yeah. Now you see where we're going with it. Moving on before we get too excited. Kato Dancing Shadow. This is another Planeswalker, 4 mana, 2 generic, 1 island, 1 swamp, 3 starting loyalty, with a passive ability. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you may return one of them to its owner's hand. If you do, you may activate loyalty abilities of Kato twice this turn rather than only once. Double activation of loyalty abilities. Ridiculous! +1, up to 1 target creature can't attack or block until your next turn. Interesting. So that means, Kato is not going to be hit with their attacker, which is pretty cool. 0, draw a card, and then -2, create a 2/2 colorless drone artifact creature token with Death Touch. And when this creature leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Okay, so we have a lot of proliferate that can push up those loyalty counters, allowing you to double activate that -2. That is a lot of damage, especially if they can get some attacks through. And then we just showed that last card, the Phyrexian Vampire. If they were to die, it would deal more damage. Oh, Lord. Dimir is going to be nasty. What else is nasty? All by itself, the Bloated Contaminator. For 3 mana, which I find to be a little outrageous, a creature, Phyrexian Beast, 4 power, 4 toughness, with trample, and toxic 1. But wait, there's more. Whenever Bloated Contaminator deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. That trample makes it very easy to get that damage through, and now that toxic has placed a poison counter, which is proliferating, and, why not distribute some +1/+1 counters to your creature base as well? Honestly, I could even see this card being alongside Planeswalkers. It's how good it is. Why not? Oh, just loyalty counters. And it's a 4/4 with trample for 3, which is already crazy. And then the toxic, and then the proliferate. I'll stop. Screvel's Hive. 2 mana, an enchantment, and at the beginning of your upkeep, lose 1 life and create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature token with toxic 1. This creature can't block. Corrupted, and of course, the fulfillment on that requires 3 poison counters on your opponent. Creatures you control with toxic have lifelink, and that will be really nice to gain some of that life back that you've lost through, that first ability. Very, very good. Wedding Announcement that doesn't stop creating creatures for 2. Sure, it's going to be a problem. Tyvar, Jubilant Brawler, 3 mana, 1 generic, 1 swamp, 1 forest. This is a legendary planeswalker with 3 starting loyalty, a passive ability allowing us to activate abilities of creatures that we control as though they have haste. They can't attack as though they've had haste, but they can tap to activate an ability, which is cool on their entry. +1, untap up to 1 target creature. Okay. -2, mill 3 cards. Then you may return a creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Did I show you that 2 mana vampire yet? There are so many fantastic options for this -2. To bring something back is really good. That thing can protect Tyvar as well. Maybe you get multiple bodies back. Like, I'm just spitballing here, and maybe not even playing with an elf deck. Let's say Resolute Reinforcements, 2 mana, 2 bodies. Really good to defend Tyvar from that point, and then, just plussing, grabbing more creatures. There are, and then just in the elf deck, there's the elves that can tap to add mana for each elf you control or whatever, right? So there's going to be a lot of different ways to use Tyvar, and I like it. I'm down to clown. Untapping a creature is really, really good just in a ramp deck. I've got a creature that taps for mana. Cool. I tap it. I untap it. I retap it, right? There's just so many different possibilities with Tyvar, the Brawler, within, I think, multiple formats as well. So it's going to be really cool to see how that plays out. And finally, and certainly not least, the Venerated Rot Priest. 1 mana. Going to cost you a forest or a greensies, if you will. A 1 power, 2 toughness creature, Phyrexian Druid with Toxic 1. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell, target opponent gets a poison counter. Oh my god. It's a 1-drop that has Toxic, and then when it's the target, it applies another poison counter. Oh, wait, it's a non-legendary as well, so it can stack. And there's things like Ivy, so you can target your things ad infinitum. You make copies of them, target them a million times. And that's just within the combo section. This is just a good card within regular aggro decks, within regular toxic decks. You don't even have to go crazy and pop off with this, with some crazy copy combo, which I think is super viable. It's just a very, very strong card and very versatile. It's going to be played all over the place as far as I'm concerned. Like, you're running green, you're running the Rot Priest. Oh my gosh. So to recap, chat, we've got a lot of cards here today. Kaya, Intangible Slayer, pretty expensive, but the fact that you get removal and then that thing back, so that thing could have an ETB, plus it can defend Kaya, which is really cool. And then the 3 damage, 3 life, +2 is, you don't have to do that too many times to win either, or the draw 2. So just so much value in Kaya. You're going to see it everywhere. The Masticore was surprising to me, really good, consistent removal turn after turn. We really, really like it. You could potentially sacrifice it when you run out of cards, but just, put that into your deck strategy so there's lots of draw. The Wanderer, like it's that. Field Wipe with a Planeswalker. That's crazy. That's really, really good value. Removal with your creature back, kind of in a similar thing. I think that's really nice. Just obliterating your opponent's life total. This is a nasty card. 2 mana value as well. And of course, it works well with Kato. The tokens here and being able to double activate with Proliferate to make a bunch of tokens. It's going to be a very cool card. I like this Kato quite a bit. The Contaminator, just when I think the last card was busted, we roll up to this and it's just like, oh my god, this game is wow. The Hive, again, why are all these cards so good? At least it doesn't give all your creatures +1/+1. But the fact is that it continues to pump out those creatures, which might actually be better. Tyvar, 3 mana Planeswalker that can help you ramp into other Planeswalkers potentially. You can grab your creatures back and you can, me, you can't do that. But it still does have really, really nice versatility here, I believe. And then finally, the Rot Priest. We just talked about it. What a busted card, and I believe you're truly going to be sick of this by this time the set is in like week number 2.5. Thank you all so much for watching. Of course, these are just my personal picks for the top 10 cards. What I like the most. I am taking into account as much of a knowledge base that I do have within the different formats in Arena. Fairly limited, but it's good. I mean, it's hard, I'm saying it's limited, but I play the game like every day for 8 hours for years and years of my life now. So I guess it's fairly in depth, but there's and that's why I love Magic. It is such a crazy in depth and complicated game that there's always new things to learn. It's phenomenal. You just can't get bored of it. You can't get sick of it. There's always something new to try and discover. And with a new set, the influx of that is, definitely there. So I'm super excited. Like I said, that early access event is going to be on the 2nd and 3rd right away. And then we have the digital release on Arena on the 7th, which is cool. So stay tuned for some new decks. We'll be really excited to showcase those. And we also will be taking a look at the Mythics in our next video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, become a YouTube member, all the good stuff. And we'll see you soon in the next.